Representative Kincaid, we're always glad to see you here. You're welcome. Glad you're here. And we have a special guest today. Her name is Annabelle Watkins. She's a student at Belhaven, and she's sitting back in the back of the room back there. And part of her assignments in nursing is she's got to go to a commission meeting of some kind. So she chose our commission meeting, and you're welcome. We're glad you're here.
Chris Godwin.
Yeah, we had earlier today at our education meeting, Chris Godwin made us a presentation, and we're glad she said she's gonna stay on for the meeting. So, introduction thing, I'm gonna ask Aaron, Aaron, I don't know why I call you Aaron, Jason Thompson, would you open us up with a prayer, please?
Let us pray. Eternal God, our Father, Lord, we thank you. We thank you, Father God, for this day. We thank you for waking us up this morning, Father God, giving us traveling grace to make it here safely. We thank you, Father God, for this meeting. We thank you for our commissioners, our executive staff, this agency. Continue to bless us and keep us. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jason. All right, so commissioners, if y'all read the minutes, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to accept. Second.
Motion's been made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Accept the minutes. Today's agenda. Is the agenda in,
The only correction we need to make, and you may have a corrected one in there, as far as one of our, read statements, Mr. Alan Sullivan's not gonna be with us today, the other three are. And there is a need for executive session, we will need to go in and discuss land and personnel matters.
all right, sir. Yeah, that's been, Alan Sullivan has been, was taken off of my list there, so he won't be here. So today's agenda, do we need
Yes.
yeah, make a motion?
Motion.
Motion made and second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Today's agenda. All right, we got public comments. I think we had some gentlemen that have been here before. They want to talk about e-bike. Sir?
There's the list right there.
Yeah, I got them right here on the e-bikes on the WMAs. And
Robert Abbott.
Mr. Abbott, we've seen you here before. How was your deer hunt? You didn't get to go. You didn't get drawn. Had COVID. All we did to get you a drawn deer hunt.
I do appreciate it. It happens.
All right, so go ahead with what you want to tell
All
us.
right, well, I want to thank y'all for letting me come up here again and talk, and I just want to talk about these e-bikes on the WMAs. I remember hunting Miami years ago, and they had how the four-wheelers and the three-wheelers tore up the roads and made a lot of racket going through the woods. And whoever had the biggest tires got the furthest back and got stuck if you followed. So I think it's a good idea to have these trails that stop and you got some trails that carry you into the woods, hunt the woods quietly. About 3 or 4 years ago, I saw a stipulation in the rules that e-bikes were allowed past the point where ATVs were allowed to go, and I bought an e-bike. I didn't see that this past year in the rules. So I called Mississippi Department of Wildlife and spoke to someone. They said that e-bike use was the same as ATVs now. They had to stop on these trails. I was told that they had a problem of people riding through the woods on them. And they were and that's why they were discontinued. And I also was considered a motorized vehicle. I asked a question for regular bicycle or still be able to be used, because they have in the past, you could take a regular bicycle past that, and they said that they were allowed. So I just want to talk to you about my experience with these e-bikes are and what they're not. They're not the perfect all-terrain vehicle. Like a old 10 speeds we used to have, they got shifters, so they got a derailleur that hangs down pretty low. If you take off right through the woods, you're gonna bust a chain or break a chain. They're not very good at going through water either, like a four-wheeler. So they're made for trails. Most of them that are set up for hunting, and they got a cart behind them. So you can imagine trying to go through the woods with a bicycle with a cart behind you. But what I think some of the benefits that if we're allowed to use them are, it's like a regular bike, you pedal them. Some of them have got throttles on them, but they got pedal assist. If you use that throttle, you're gonna wear your battery down, but if you pedal the bike, your battery stays up a lot longer. Just what the advantage that pedal assist gives over a regular bicycle is with this cart, you can carry your gear back into the woods, or if you kill the deer, you put it on that cart, and that pedal assist helps you to be able to carry that load out. Most of these e-bikes got pretty wide tires, fat tires on them. They don't leave a footprint, so you're not gonna be rutting anything up. They got a electric motor, they're quiet. They don't make any noise. You're not gonna be disturbing any game or hunters as you ride through. They are made to be rode on trails, they should be. And like I say, if you take off through the woods, there's a lot could happen. You could bust a chain, broke a chain, bust one of them tires, which is pretty expensive, sticks through your spokes. Another benefit that I saw when I was hunting at Yazoo this year, it opens up the woods for hunters. At my age, walking a couple miles back in the woods with a climbing stand on my back, safety harness, a fanny pack, and carrying a gun or a bow, just can't do it like I used to be able to do it. A lot of people that just hunt a few 100 yards deep because of physical conditions. Prime example is Mike Rouse, was supposed to be here today. He's got an e-bike. Mike couldn't make it because he had his second knee replacement surgery. So he couldn't make it today. These e-bikes are just another tool to benefit hunters, and they should be used responsibly. If someone breaks the rules, you need to target that person breaking the rules. But don't take away or limit something that benefits the hunting public. So along with a lot of other hunters that use these bikes, I'd like to, for the commission and the Mississippi Park and Wildlife, to consider these bikes to be used on WMAs on these foot trails only. When you pull up the maps on the WMAs, there's already a lot of established foot trails already, and these bikes, they're perfect for that use. So guys, I appreciate it. That's all I got.
Well, we appreciate you coming, and we're certainly we listen to you and hopefully come up with a solution that will be, that you would, it's bound to be an answer to it.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate it.
And we'll certainly consider it. Do you have anybody else today that wants to? Jimmy? Jimmy Hodges?
Yes, sir, thank you for having me.
Come on, glad to see you.
Y'all have probably all seen that movie, Secondhand Lions. When De Niro goes in after the hospital visit, he goes into this restaurant, and these 5 young guys come in and cause a problem. And they pull a knife out on him, and he wants to fight them. James Caan says, y'all gonna need all the help you can get. And you know the rest of the story. James Caan throws them all out and takes them, makes friends with them. Well, 3 years ago, I was fortunate enough to be drawn and killed a deer at Phil Bryant, way out in the woods. So I walked out there and I started dragging the deer back. And I was exhausted. So I walked back to the road, and just so happened I see a young boy riding an electric bicycle. And he had a cart behind him. And he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm blowing and going. I need all the help I can get." He said, "Well, here, take my cart." And we went in and I got the deer out. I go home the next day, and my friend Tommy Vogel from down on the coast, we hunt together quite a bit. He said, "What are you going to do today?" And I said, "I'm going to go buy me an electric bicycle." He said, "Buy me one." So I bought 2. And we hunt together quite a bit, and we love them. And we have hauled a lot of deer out for other folks. And I'm here today because my friend Robert said your commission has maybe going to limit us in using those electric bikes. Well, I'm 73 years old, and I love it, and I've hauled deer out for other folks. And the last thing I want to see is you to eliminate that. because I need all the help I can get. And just thank you for hearing. And be glad to answer any questions. And I have one, and I hunt on it all the time. What I like about it, I can ride it right up where I wanna hunt. The wide tires don't leave a scent. When I walk in, I leave more scent than that. So it just aids the senior hunter. And I don't care what you do with the young guys. When I was 30, I could drag the deer anywhere I wanted to. If you're gonna eliminate somebody, eliminate those. And if I do something wrong, just take my hunting license away, because I can't hunt without it. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, Jimmy.
Any
Appreciate it.
more, is there any more e-bike, talkers today?
That's all I had listed.
No, Mike wasn't able to make it.
Yeah, he said he got a new deal, and I can relate to that.
I have a motion at the proper time.
We're not, this is just for public comments, we're not going, we're gonna talk about what, I don't even know what the regulations are on it.
Well, there's different regulations, the way I understand it, on the US Forest Service property, on WMAs, you're not even allowed to bring an e-bike. And then on some of the state-owned ones, they allow you to use the e-bike. And I don't know, I mean, I'm hunting a WMA tomorrow. I probably hunt more WMAs than anybody on the commission. And I know what these gentlemen are talking about right here as far as access, and it just goes back to the same thing. We're constantly putting the limitations on the hunters. And these gentlemen, they came and spoke to us about the hunt at Phil Bryant last year. And I think we took that day and asked the staff to give us some, didn't we do that, Gary?
Yeah,
Remember, we made the motion to get the staff to have us something, as
by
soon
the
as
next
possible.
meeting, and they
Yeah.
did, and they came up with it, and it was
So is that what we're gonna do here?
very successful. That's what I think we need to find out. I mean, I don't know of anybody here that's against what they're talking about. I'm personally not.
Well,
I can relate to it.
Well, obviously somebody is, because it sounds like, are we fixing to limit, or was it limited this year? Do you know? Russ, is there any talk of limiting it?
No, sir, there has been no talk about that. Not
So-
sure where that comes from.
So like, they can, on a state-owned WMA, they can get on their e-bike and go do what they need to do, is that right?
It just depends on the WMA. They're used on designated roads and trails, and they can be used for game retrieval. There's nothing that limits any of that. Now, it is accurate that on some trails, because they are considered a motorized vehicle, they may not be allowed on like a foot traffic trail, but they're allowed on 48 of our 52 WMAs.
Well, that's where the limitation is, like, you know, that bike that you can pedal and also have, I went and rode Tommy Vocals, as a matter of fact, I went to his house and rode his, he told me about it. And, so they've been on me pretty good about it too, and, so we need to give our hunters the opportunities to access. It kinda goes back to the US Forest Service lands. You know, we're constantly limiting access on our US Forest Services, and, especially when you get to the dog hunting, all the road closures on the US Forest Service land has pushed the dog hunters out to the main roads, and therefore, that's where we get a lot of the complaints and stuff such as that, so, I hope that we're moving in the direction where we're gonna give them more opportunities to operate their e-bikes, because those gentlemen enjoy the outdoors, and, some of those roads that are closed, you gotta do a lot of walking.
I think the feeling of this commission is that we certainly want to give them every opportunity in the world. If it's not some real reason that they shouldn't be on there, and they don't make noise, they don't do this, and I'll agree with them. I can't pull a deer out anymore. If I kill one, I got to drive to it, and I know what it's like. But as far as he's talking about, why? I mean, is it some changes that y'all have heard about, or?
Well, what I understood was you could use them for retrieval, but the point I was making is they're so much like a regular bike. they don't make any noise. They, you know, they're quiet. And if we could use these bikes on foot trails to access, instead of having to walk 2 miles back to where we want to go. Leave your bike on the trail when you want to go find a place to hunt, go back in the woods and hunt. If you kill a deer, drag it out, you know, or retrieve it, and then you can pull it out. But it's, the main thing, I think, is getting hunters a little farther back in the woods access, without having to walk 2 to 3 miles sometimes.
I agree.
And, the trails, these bikes are perfect for that. And I may be better on the woods, they may be better on the trails, but, I can't see that they would be that much different than using a regular bicycle to ride back there, except if you kill a deer and have a card on it, it'd be a lot easier with that motor assist, that pedal assist, to pull it out.
So what,
I'm not talking about just game retrieval, I'm talking about access in general.
The WMA rules are not up for discussion right now. When that time comes, that might be the time that we look into that
yeah, we
before
really
that.
will. But right now, this is public comments, just to tell us what some of the problems that you see, that maybe we could solve them or prevent them from happening. So, and we appreciate y'all making the comments.
So questions, the rules for next year, they'll go in the digest, that needs to be done by, what, June or so, or? April.
So,
WMA.
so what we're fixing to get into, we make a rule next month, and then we have a 30-day, discussion period, then we're in May, so it's the following year before it can
That'll
take
be
effect.
next deer season.
That'd be next year's season.
So that would give us time?
That's what I was asking, yeah.
Yeah.
So we can get in for next deer season. Yeah.
Okay,
Still got time to get it in.
If there's some modification, yeah,
so April, we're good then.
we're good.
Yeah, this is March, so we got plenty of time if we want. But I need to have Russ and them tell us what, something provoked them from coming down here. So they must have heard something that they can't use their bikes, or they've been permitted from using them.
I wanna go further.
But what I heard was that we were gonna be limited to the same trails as ATVs and side by sides. Whereas now, we have been in the past, we've been able to get on these
Walking
paths,
paths.
trails, not ATV trails, and get on deeper into the woods.
You're not talking about a deer trail, you're talking about
No, I'm
a
not
walking
talking about a
trail.
deer trail, I'm talking about a mowed trail or a path through the
A
woods.
single track trail maybe, as opposed to a wide road or something.
Right, but it's not a gravel road that you could ride down on an ATV without causing damage to the road.
So maybe Russ can clarify this for us again. So if it's a foot traffic trail only on a state WMA-owned wildlife management area, can they drive their bikes on it?
Not the electric bikes.
Yeah, that's my point I'm trying to make, y'all.
Yeah, that's what we'll
They're
look at.
limited, they're only allowed to drive the e-bikes on the trails that are designated for four-wheeler use, is that, or motorized vehicle, right? Off-road.
Yeah, that's
So-
that's what we need to look at, we can.
That's the point that we're trying to make, and let me just make sure I understand. So, we have to have the rules in by April to make the digest, right?
We always present WMA rules in April, correct?
All right, so, next month is April. If we come back and we say, okay, we're gonna do this, this, or this, then we've gotta wait 30 days, right?
You're gonna put the 30-day notice out anyway.
So then May is before we are able to make the rule.
It'll go final, it'll go final.
Codify, or would it go into
Would
effect?
go into effect.
Okay, so is that enough time to get it in by the next deer season?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
fair enough.
the normal time we would normally.
When we do it anyway.
Yeah, be normal.
Yeah.
Thank y'all for coming, that's good to know.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
I'm gonna go to the gym and work out just in case.
Just in case you know, you gotta haul them out.
Got to haul them out.
All right. Jason, let's see about the light, give us some good news.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the month of February shows that our revenue is up 5%. compared to last year, and that's close to $900,000 for this fiscal year. Revenue from resident license sales are up $55,000. The number of resident WMA permits have increased by 3%. Senior exempt licenses up 6% compared to last year. And the annual small game freshwater fishing and the 3-day freshwater fishing, the numbers are similar to where we were last year during this point. Non-resident license sales are up 9%. The annual small game license, 7%. 7-day small game, 7%. And the non-resident WMA permits are up 3%. In the permit category, we're up close to 5%, and lifetime licenses are down 2% from last year. Overall, we have generated $16,687,000 in hunting and fishing license sales. $7 million have been generated from Louisiana residents purchasing licenses. And
How many people is that, Jason? You got that?
we don't have the number of people, but I can have that for you during the next
Well, that's
commission
all right.
meeting.
I just always heard it's like 60-some thousand residents from Louisiana buy out-of-state license.
That's close. That's close, between 50 and 60,000 if I had to guess off the top of my
Let's
head.
just hope they don't raise it
You
above.
said 7 million from Louisiana.
I'm sorry,
You said 7 million?
7 million.
Yeah.
What's the next state after that?
The next state is Tennessee, and they're right at 1 million.
I mean, Louisiana, it's unbelievable.
Mississippi sends a lot to Louisiana too for
Yeah.
fishing and all that.
We're going
Correct.
fishing.
Yes, sir.
Right.
That's a big number.
All right, so mobile app numbers, the bottom of your summary report, the WMA app downloads for FY23 are at 11,934. That's 9,043 iOS users and 2,891 Android users. And license packages sold for this year, we're at 27,132 compared to last year, where we were at 24,402. Any questions?
Everything's up. And
Yes, sir.
I'm glad to see it.
Yes, sir.
As you well know, that's what we survive on is license sales.
Correct.
Anybody, any other?
Are you seeing any, anything recently that's on turkey hunting type? Can you see any trend of March or April, March so far?
Well, I did have the turkey numbers, and I don't know if Russ was gonna give those, but, in terms of those non-residents,
Yeah.
purchasing those apps,
Yeah.
applications, we had 1,749, and so far out of that group, 598 have purchased their hunting license.
Those are the ones that did the draw?
For the spring turkey, yes, sir.
That's just out of staters.
Out of state, correct.
Okay, anybody else got any questions for Thompson? Thank you, buddy.
All right, thank you.
All right, Russ, we're always glad to see you, the chief of staff.
It's always good to see you as well, Chairman. Thank you for letting us present today. As I've told you many times before, the staff that we have at this agency, I've put up against anybody in the country. So it's always great to be able to recognize some of from our staff each year. We have been doing this for a number of years now. We recognize our wildlife biologist of the year as well as our WMA manager of the year. So we appreciate the opportunity to do that. So we want to present today the 2022 WMA manager and WMA biologist of the year. I'm going to start with WMA manager. So this is for FY22, for the year 2022. For WMA manager of the year is Donald Reynolds. Don is on Divide Section WMA way up in the northeast part of the state. Let me run down a few of the accomplishments of Don. I'm going to ask him to come up here and we'll give him a plaque as well as a gift card. In years past, we recognized folks, and we've told you they're more than just employees. Our folks are just good salt to the earth folks. And Donald is one of those folks that he's salt to the earth. When you meet him, you feel like you've known him for forever. And this year, we actually had multiple of our staff recommend him to be WMA Manager of the Year. So let me run down some of his accomplishments. So on the Divide section, as well as some of the other WMAs up in the Northeast, He's done over 100 acres of invasive species control on Divide section. Prescribed fire, he's helped with over 10 prescribed burns, over 535 acres. Trapping, he's trapped over 61 beavers, 75 hogs on Divide section, as well as help with blowing beaver dams, as you heard Chris talk about earlier. Boundary line maintenance, last year he painted over 10 miles of boundary line. Assisted other WMAs, whether he's planting waterfowl impoundments or dove fields or food plots, helped with infrastructure, road maintenance work, impoundment maintenance, CWD work. He's helped collect lots of samples, picked up roadkill, worked with hunters and collecting samples there, gone to our check station there at Chickasaw and helped pull samples throughout the hunting season. Helped with youth squirrel hunt, interacted with hunters there on Canal Section WMA for the youth squirrel hunt. Been a certified prescribed burn manager, gone through explosive training, as well as we had some new staff members that were hired in that region, and Donald kind of took him under his wing and helped get him moving in the right direction as being a new employee, as well as his interaction with the public. I think, just like I said, I think anybody that meets Donald feels like they've always known him. Our public is always very complimentary of the interactions that they have with him. So those that nominated him this year, we enthusiastically recommend that he be recognized as the 2022 WMA Manager of the Year. Donald, would you come up here? Wildlife Management Manager of the Year for 2022, and we actually put a picture on here of Don doing prescribed burn for outstanding work with the Wildlife Management Area Program and Wildlife Resource Conservation for Donald Reynolds. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Russ, are they gonna get a picture of y'all?
Yeah, we're gonna get one. We'll take it with you, yes, sir.
What do you do with the beavers when you get killed?
Put them in the pen with the hogs.
Cut the tails off and find out what counties pay a bounty and take them to them.
All right, for Wildlife Biologist of the Year, again, we have a tremendous staff of whether they work on WMAs or wherever they work. We truly have a staff that we can put up against anybody in the country. In our private lands program, we have a number of staff that work with private landowners across the state, helping them manage their property for wildlife and whatever species of interest they have. So for this year, our outstanding nomination for an outstanding employee is in our private lands program, and that's Mr. Pierce Young. Pierce works in the central region of Mississippi, has 25 counties. And in FY22, he did over 86 site visits with private landowners, totaling over 51,000 acres. In addition to that, he's been a team leader for CWD collection. He's helped with scoring deer at Magnolia Records Program events. He has over 87 DMAP clubs, working with helping them reach their deer management goals. He's recruited more than 16 clubs in FY22, getting them added to Deer Management Assistance Program. He's also been a liaison with our external partners like MSU Deer Lab. He's worked with Panther Swamp National Wildlife Refuge, helping them collect their CWD samples each year. He goes each opening day to help them collect samples. He's very timely and efficient and effective in site visit summaries, writing management plans or DMAP reports for those that he works with. In FY22, he attended over 21 professional trainings. He's also an active member in some of our external partnerships like the Lower Mississippi Valley Joint Venture, as well as the Prescribed Fire Council. Kind of what added to Pierce's list of accomplishments this year, he has taken it upon himself to start doing a lot of publications for us in the digital world. So we purchased equipment, and he has been putting together videos, management videos, and some of you may have seen those that we put out on Facebook and other social media. He's developed that content, he's filmed that content, he's edited that content, he's narrated that content, and has gone above and beyond to create some videos and content for us to put out there for the public, and has done a stellar job at doing that. In FY22, he did over 12 videos that have been, you talk about reach and touch, they've touched over 75,000 folks so far. And this generated in just this past year, we normally have about 3,000 or so touches to our private lands website. That's bumped up to over 5,000 with some of the content that Pierce has put out there. People are starting to hit the website and look at that. In addition to all that, he's sitting on the panel this year to, as you know, we're looking at developing a new website. He's sitting on the panel there. So for all of these accomplishments and all the work that Pierce has done this year, we'd like to recognize him as the 2022 Wildlife Biologist of the Year. Wildlife Biologist of the Year for 2022, Mr. Pierce Young, Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries and Parks Wildlife Bureau hereby recognizes Pierce for outstanding work with the private lands program and dedication conserving our natural resources. Congratulations. Thank y'all, appreciate it.
All right, we're moving right along. Brian Ferguson, Chief of Staff of our beautiful state parks. In fact, that's where we're gonna meet next month, at the state park.
Good. Good morning, gentlemen. On the agenda, we have a rule change, but I do want to start with just some information about parks. First, I guess I want to start with thanking the park staff. We often don't do that enough. They've been awesome. It's been a great opportunity for me to start working in parks. I want to thank Andre Hollis for all of his support, and we have a great staff who I've seen is grown and been extremely excited about how we have kind of reinvented and reestablished what we think outdoor recreation should look like at our state parks. And we met yesterday and talked about a lot of new things that are going to encourage people to come outdoors again and enjoy state parks. It's more than just camping, more than coming out to cabins, but outdoor and day use recreation. So it's been a pleasure for me to see that growth in some of the staff, and absolutely been encouraged to see more people coming out to the outdoors. Last weekend, me and Andre had the opportunity to go to a 97-year-old man's birthday party that was hosted at Roosevelt State Park. It was great to see them come out, go outdoors, and they've been coming there for over 10 years celebrating. And we hope to go out there next year also and see him celebrate his 98th birthday. So we've experienced a lot going around the state, seeing people. We've traveled out of state. We have a lot of park managers that are learning a lot of different things, going to different trainings, seeing things, and we're hoping that we can bring a different component to parks, especially in our interpretive space where we can do guided things and bring people out and we can show them, teach them the history of the state parks also. We've worked with the Department of Archives and History over the last few months, talked to them about a lot of the history of the park. So hopefully over the next few months they'll bring some of that history back, and we can kind of talk about it with our guests and have more opportunities for people to enjoy the outdoors in a different way somewhere, something different that we've done in the past. Before we get to the rules, I also want to talk about some of the successes that we've had over the last month. The reservation system went live on March 1st. We had not a lot of fanfare with it, but certainly a lot of successes with it. Didn't have any problems with it, came up, no issues there. Social media kind of gave us a lot of grief on it. Of course, change is going to be kind of it's disruptive a little bit, but since then, over our first 22 days with the system open, we've generated about $1.3 million in sales, which is historic, about $700,000 over any 20-day period of time that we've had so far. So the system is a success. The things that we've put in place have been successful, and we are having a lot of support in the space too. So the things are going well with it. Project-wise, we have Natchez cabins that are being renovated right now. It's 10 cabins right now that are already being renovated. So there's some pictures out on social media now showing that those cabins are being renovated. Persequin has 9 cabins being renovated, and about 69 campsites that are being renovated. This is going to be starting here soon also. We got 8 cabins in Roosevelt that should be bidded out here soon, and also over at Clarko State Park, we should be getting all those cabins renovated. Those bids coming in for those soon as well. We got a work week going on. We finished a work week at Persequin this month, where a lot of volunteers and some of the staff traveled in to do kind of a big group effort to restore some of the areas in the park, cut down trees, just little simple things that make the park better. We have one at Lake Lincoln starting on the 23rd. So those things have been really, really good, helping the park out. So we've been engaging with the community around, but also helping just restore some of the old grounds, simple things like cutting trees down that shouldn't be there, or delimbing things, moving old trailers and things out of sight. Marketing engagement, I put it in a packet at the end of the park thing. You'll see there's a sheet, kind of a cut sheet there that shows our marketing engagement over the last few months also. So you can see an extremely, it's the last page there. It's going to be all the way at the back. So you can see so much, the different engagement, over 127% increase in post reach, 184% increase in our reaction and our engagement there. So we got a lot to improve on there still, but as you can see, those green arrows is showing that we have had a lot of success and putting some of our strategies in place so far. Pricing is one of the big topics, and I know a lot of people, we've seen a lot of the comments, we've had a lot of feedback on some of our pricing structure. I think an important note there is that all of the system requirements, what you all approved, that rate from 25 to 190, that entire rate hadn't gone into effect yet. We'll start talking about market pricing over the next month or so, and when we put that in place, I think customers will see where those rates will start changing, all the way down from $25 and all the way up to $190 in special occurrences, which is unlikely at 99% of the parks. But we do have that flexibility, and we hadn't turned that part of the system on yet, so you'll see in the next month or so where you'll have campers will have opportunities to rent sites for as little as $25 at every park in the state. So on to the actual rules here. We wanted to address some of those things that we've seen, and some of the things, and we admit that in a lot of cases this is a lot of this, I won't call it trial and error, but definitely we want to look at the data to support what we're trying to do. One of the things that we think that we need to make a change on was some of our senior rates and those things. So we'll address some of that in our rule change. And so I put a summary page here on the front page, and we can kind of go through the rules, and we'll need a motion for these. So I'll move on to the actual rules. On page 1 of the rules, we wanted to make a change, and I'll explain some of the changes too. On our Rule 1.1, the first rule change, we wanted to change it from $2 to $4 to $0 to $4. That's important because what we want to do is give people the opportunity to come into parks for free. Right now, the rules won't allow us to let people come on there at no cost, but I think it's important that we establish times and days where we can allow people to come on, experience the park at no cost. Even if it's just a lunch break at certain parks, you can just come on, eat lunch, and just ride back out of the park. So changing that rule from 2 to 4 to 0 to 4 will allow us to just let the gates up and allow them to come in at no cost during a certain time periods or certain days or whatever we think would be a best day to do that.
Did you discuss having a higher than $4 option or flexibility? You guys obviously arrived at 4 for a reason, right?
Yes, sir. That's about, it's generally $2 to come in as an entry. $4 is a high to come in. We do have a special event rates that we can charge for 25 and 30, I believe.
5 and 50.
Between 5 and 50 for our special event days.
Okay.
On the other rule here, it's to delete the next two for rule on 2 and 3 on page 3 are to delete the $10 per night weekday rate. That we should have deleted on the last rule. We don't need that rule in place anymore because we already have our prices in a market-based pricing. We're not going to add an additional amount on top of that. So this is a deletion of our ability to add $10 per night to the weekday rate. And the last one is on our overnight accommodations. We want to change the senior age down from 65 to 62. That's more in line with the states that's around us, more in line with the federal guidelines as well. It'll give more seniors the opportunity to receive the senior discount rate. And we want to increase that rate from 10% that we have now to 15% discount for ages 62. Adding in, we already have a disability as well, but we want to add in veterans and active service members as well as part of that 15% discount. The last one is to add a proof of status for the discount. What has happened over the last few years is everybody just says they're a senior and they don't have to come and check in, so they all get the senior rate. So what we want to do is they'll have to pay that full price up until they get there. Once they get there, we put the senior rate in place once we check their IDs and active duty service members and veterans also. So that it will give us some flexibility to actually monitor the actual rate that we've put in place. That's Rule 1.1.
Motion.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Go ahead.
All right, Rule 1.2 is helps us clarify one thing. We want to add a transfer fee of $8 per reservation if it's made within if the reservation is changed within 7 days of the cancellation policy. What's generally happening now is people know that they can't cancel within that 7 days, so they'll just transfer it out past 7 days and then they'll cancel it. This rule will allow us to prevent them from transferring outside of the transfer window and then canceling and getting a full refund. By putting that transfer fee in there, it kind of keeps everything in balance there.
They transfer it to a later date or to another person?
They transfer it to another later date,
Oh, okay.
and then they call it back and cancel it.
Oh, I see. It's pretty
Come
smart.
within the days.
Pretty
when they
slick.
So
transfer
we
it
keep it
out.
at, we keep it $8 of the money they put up starting.
Yes, sir.
That makes sense.
Motion.
Motion's been made.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, no any questions to me, that's all I have.
Well, you're doing a good job, I can tell you that. And
Thanks, sir.
parks is one of our greatest resources. We just don't need them to
They're getting better.
pick them up, make them better.
Getting better.
Good, Brian.
We're doing it.
Brian.
Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
And Andre?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
and Andre, yes, sir. All right, Jerry Carter. Got you up next, law enforcement update.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Director. Mr. Chairman. Law Enforcement Bureau makes its report for the month of February. And we'll start with our our license and compliance checks. The top 5 being no license at 130, trespassing at 36, unlawful possession at 22, and no boat registration at 13, and PFD violations were 11.
So to get an unlawful possession, you'd have to be hunting with a license and then have some game that's in there, so.
Yes, sir.
With 130 of them, only 22 of them killed anything or whatever.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right, that makes sense.
On the next page is, you'll see a picture where our Officer Lieutenant Marion Pearson, he's our boating hunter ed coordinator for the North region. He assisted with recovery of a vehicle that ran off the Interstate 55 there in Panola County, if I'm correct. And the pictures below shows you where the vehicle was removed from the Tallahatchie River. And it sadly resulted in a fatality. There was one subject in the vehicle. On our next page is our SRT, assisted with U.S. Marshal Services of a fugitive capture near Grenada. We received a call from the U.S. Marshal Service requesting assistance in trying to apprehend these fugitives. That was on February 14th. Subject escaped from Grenada County Jail. We received a tip that the fugitives was hiding out in Montgomery County. The subject one of the subjects was from the area. We got a tip that that's where they were at a church area out there. And SRT and along with our unit, drone GIS guys as well came out, and we ran surveillance on the area, located the subjects. Our SRT officers engaged. Sadly, through the engagement, no shots fired by our SRT units, but sadly one of the subjects did do a self-inflicting on himself and killed himself. But it was a great success in apprehending those fugitives and catching them and getting them back to, one of them back into jail.
I understand the drone was one of the key
The
players.
drone was a key player. We have the footage of it where
I'd
you
like,
see
I'd like maybe sometime, Scotty, y'all can show it to us, could you? The drone, the footage of the drone?
Yes, sir, we can make it
Was
happen.
it the thermal or visual?
It was thermal as well as the visual, so you could actually see both.
You could see 'em.
See them both where they actually engaged with the, there was some wood coverage, but after they, got the subjects on the, call, you could see actually everything else, where, you know, everything that they did, and even escorting, getting the, subject out of the woods to get him medical attention as well, so you can see all of
And
it.
one of them broke his leg or something when he jumped or something, and the other killed himself.
Elder killed himself, that's correct, sir. Yes, sir, he self-inflicted.
Where did they escape from?
Grenada County Jail.
Went out through the,
Went out through the roof.
And when they had to get down, they jumped down, and when they did, this one, the young boy broke his leg.
Broke his leg. And in addition, they stole a vehicle and sold two vehicles. One of them being a county vehicle, ended up, one that was owned by an individual, and then that's where we got information that they were hiding out there behind a church area. That's family location where he grew up at, so he was kind of familiar with the area, but the drone was the very vital part too that was used in finding those subjects. Shooting range customer counts from November 6th to March 12th. At MacGyver, we had 469 customers. At Turcotte, we had 845, and at McHenry, we had 726 customers.
McHenry's coming up, looks like,
It is.
with these 45 courses.
And at this time, we have reinstatements. I have three gentlemen that are here. Mr. Hunter Smith. Mr. Hunter Smith, this incident happened in Rankin County. The arresting officer was Lieutenant Blake Jones. The arrest and investigation of this incident came from a tip called to Officer Jones that was actually discovered on social media. And Mr. Smith is here to tell you all the rest of the story.
All right, Mr. Smith, let me hear your side of the story.
My name's Hunter Smith, and I got convicted of headlighting on February 8th, 2022. And earlier in November, me and a couple buddies went riding down Chicken Bridge Road, and we ended up shooting 4 deer off the side of the road. And I don't really know much else to say about the story, but I am sorry about it, and y'all won't see me here again.
Was that the first time you done it?
Yes, sir.
Were you with the football players?
Yes, sir.
The ones that were here last month?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, Chicken Bridge Road is in the city limits of Brandon?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, you had to know how dangerous that was.
Yes, sir.
And then didn't eat the deer.
Yes, sir.
All the above was wrong, wrong, wrong.
Yes, sir.
Well, you learned your lesson.
Yes, sir.
How much did it cost you?
A little over $5,000, I believe so.
I don't know. Anybody else got any questions for the young man? I lived in Brandon for about 20 years, got in Cross Gates.
Yes, sir.
Colonel, what's the recommendation?
We make a recommendation to reinstate him. He has met all the requirements set forth.
Paid is fine? What
Paid is fine.
what about Hunter's Edge?
Hunter's Edge,
Yes, sir.
and all the requirements. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Motion.
Motion, go ahead.
To approve.
Motion moved.
Second.
Is there a second?
I'm second.
All right, y'all heard the thing. All in favor? All right, sir. You've been reinstated. And look, we don't want to ever see you again
You won't.
under these conditions.
No, no, sir, you won't.
All right.
How far from Interstate 20 were you? on your sheet?
Pretty good long ways, there's a little cutoff off Trippin Bridge, it's kind of a back road.
Yeah,
Kind of behind a subdivision, isn't it, where y'all were, what he was telling us
Yes,
last
sir.
time.
yeah.
On gravel road.
Yes, sir.
But we heard it was 5 deer.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Munger's
It's
just
been a while.
scouting is all he's
I'm
doing.
scouting here, I was trying to figure
I know
out where.
exactly where, I lived there, I know exactly where Trenton
I've
Bridge.
read on that road, I know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who do I get my?
You're gonna have somebody will escort you out when you, one of those officers will get to you, sir.
Next, we have Mr. Tim Raines. This county violation occurred in Atala County. Interesting case how the officer made the arrest. This subject, we received a call from the landowner. We ran tag number on the vehicle. We got the phone number attached to the tag, and the officer made the call while the violator was en route to be intercepted and met by officers waiting for him. So he'll give you the rest of the story.
All right, Timothy, tell us what you did.
My name's Tim Raines. It was January 13th of 2022. Sorry.
That's all right, just settle down, it's okay. Go ahead.
We were headed back from deer camp, me and a friend named Bradley, at the camp we were in Atala County. We was coming up to West Mississippi to get back onto 55. We come up to a 3-way stop, and it was right at dark, dusk. And at the 3-way, there was a doe standing about 150 yards out in this cutover land. And Bradley grabbed my 6.5 Creedmoor out of the back seat and shot out the passenger window, killed the deer, dropped it. And we pulled straight through the 3-way into the land and stopped just right off the road. He went out and drug the deer back to the truck, asked me to get out to help him throw it in the back, and I did. And as we were doing that, a truck come by, slowed down, and we thought that was strange, but kept on about our business. And started going on down the interstate, we noticed that same truck was following us. Come to be the landowner. Like he said, got my tag and my phone number and all that. And Mr. Blaylock called me, told me to pull over in Madison County and wait on them game wardens, so we did. And on the 26th, we were convicted of headlighting and shooting from a public road. And I didn't actually pull the trigger, but I was 100% at fault for not stopping the actions. It was very dangerous, shooting across the road like that, and taking some game unfairly. And I'm very sorry for it. And I hope to never come back on these circumstances again.
Tim, what did it cost you?
Couple $1,000 in fines, closer to $4,000.
Did you lose your gun?
They took our guns. Mr. Blaylock, we cooperated with him, and he was very kind to us and ended up giving them back after we
Okay.
paid our court fines.
Y'all cooperated with the officer?
Yes,
You
sir.
didn't try to run or
Didn't try
tell
to
lies and all
dump the
that?
deer, nothing.
That's the thing to do. If you
Yes,
get
sir.
caught, just, hey,
How-
you got me.
How dark was it when you shot?
He said it was dusk.
It was dusk. It was, I mean,
Dark enough for
right at
headlights.
dark.
I
The
mean,
headlights were
use the
shining.
light. Use the light though, right?
Sir,
Use that light to shoot it.
no, it was bright enough that we didn't have a flashlight. It was the headlights were on it,
Oh,
and
headlights, okay.
so it was right at that spot of needing a flashlight, but we didn't use one.
How long will a 6.5 Creedmoor bullet go and kill something, you think?
That I'm not sure. I had just bought that gun. Matter of fact, I had bought that gun a month before then and was new to the 6.5. I'm not sure about the caliber and everything.
I think it'll probably go about a mile
Yeah,
and kill something.
yeah. That was that was also the dangerous part about it was if he'd have missed, I know that the city was right on the other side of that, cutover. It was,
Yeah, but you don't know what's on the other side of it. if
that's
you
right.
miss.
It was very dangerous.
What about it, Colonel? Has he pretty well told us what's going on?
That's correct, sir, he has.
Has he met all his
Met
requirements?
all the requirements, yes, sir.
Okay, Commissioner Rhodes
Second.
made the motion, there's a second by Commissioner Bent. All in favor of reinstate? You've been reinstated.
Thank y'all.
Well, thank you for being honest.
Yes, sir.
And again, don't want to see you again in these conditions.
Yes, sir.
Also, in this incident, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to also recognize our communications bureau for the fine work they did, assisting our officers and helping apprehend these individuals on that violation. So,
They
good
got
job
his,
to them.
they got his cell phone number off of his tag,
Off of his tag.
the landowner.
No, the landowner reported the tag to the officer.
Yeah.
Officer
The officer
called
got
it in to the radio room. The officer requested, was there a phone number attached to the tag number, and it was, and ended up making a phone
Called
call.
him on the interstate.
Called him while he was driving, yes, sir.
Long arm of the law.
Lastly, we have, Mr. Wyatt Duncan. This incident happened, in, South Mississippi in Pearl River County. Arresting officer was, Master Sergeant Deschamps. He received a complaint, about a, activity of illegal headlighting going on, and the officer initiated the stop, and Mr. Duncan will tell you the rest of the story.
All right, Mr. White.
My name is Wyatt Duncan. On the night of November 7th, 2020, I was convicted of headlighting from a public road, headlighting and shooting from a public road. There was a man, I had a guy with me at the time who actually was the man who shot, and we shot amongst some houses, and there was a landowner that called on us. And we rode to the end of the road, turned around and came back, and on the way back, came to a three-way, and Officer Deschamps was sitting on the other side of an embankment, and he pulled around and got us. And we had swapped seats, and what happened was, we didn't know that if we had hit the deer or not, but we didn't want to leave it there for no reason. And my buddy, who was driving then, who had shot when we had swapped seats, he shined a light out the window at an anthill, which he thought was the deer. And that's whenever Officer Deschamps pulled around and knew that we were the ones that had shot. And we got out, and all three of us looked for the deer together. And we never did find the deer. He took our weapons. There was alcohol involved. We were underage at the time, so he confiscated our alcohol. We were allowed to have someone pick us up, and he was kind enough to not take us to jail because he asked us to go to church with him the next morning, and we did. And it's been a long time, or it seems like it's been a long time since then. And I have matured a lot since then. I see life a lot differently now. I'm here actually because I would like to have my license back because I have a young child, and I would like to teach him, the proper ways to go about things and not act a fool like I did. You won't ever see me here again. You won't.
White, how much money did it cost you, son?
Well, I don't exactly recall, so I don't want to lie to you, but it's probably between $2,000 and $3,500, I'd say. They took my weapon. I imagine it's gone by now. I'll never get it back. But, and that's, I think that concluded the story for me.
You said you shot among houses, was it between houses, or?
Well, there was a house on both sides of us, but we shot back towards, not directly towards the house, but there was a house close by.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So you've been without your license for a couple of years?
About 2.5 years, I'd say.
Okay. Colonel, what about his Has it met all the
He's
requirements?
met all the requirements.
His story, you don't have anything to add to his story, you didn't?
It was a good arrest by the officer, and, but he met all the requirements.
Sound like Officer Delchamp did a good job, was fair to you, but did his job, right?
Yes, he was very good to me.
He's left us now, hasn't he?
He has,
Champ?
yes, sir.
I have a motion at the proper time, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right, you recognize.
Approve his reinstatement.
Is there a second? Motion is made and second. Is there any more discussion? All in favor of reinstatement? Okay, well, you reinstated. And again, don't wanna see you again under these conditions.
Go teach that baby boy how to hunt.
See him, don't shoot out of a car and,
He's a fisherman.
good.
Teach him how to fish too.
Mr. Chairman, that is our report for law enforcement, unless you have any further questions.
Well, same old stories.
Thank you.
Mr.
Yes,
Chairman,
sir.
I would like to make a statement.
Oh, okay.
I would like, I'd like to say thank you to Colonel Carter and, Lieutenant Colonel Jones and whoever else worked on the legislation that was able to make, some legal hunters continue to be legal on the trailing of deer after mortally wounded. If they would not have gotten behind that, and this department would not have gotten behind it, we'd still be having, good law-abiding hunters out there violating the headlighting law and not even realizing they were violating the headlighting law. So I wanna say personally, I appreciate it. I appreciate y'all working on that. And there's a lot of people around the state that appreciate that too. But I know it wouldn't have gotten done if it wouldn't have been for the support of this department and of course, the law enforcement division. And the second thing I'd like to say thank you to our Attorney General's office for their follow-up on an incident about a year ago, and we're very appreciative of what they did to bring that to resolution.
All right, sir. Thank you,
Good
Commissioner.
morning.
Is it, Mr. Posey, is it any more business?
The only other business I can think of, Mr. Chairman, is that, might be in order to congratulate Commissioner Munger. He is through his confirmation process and will be serving here for another 5 years.
What was the vote? Did you barely win or was it a landslide?
I barely, I think.
Well, congratulations. Good. Thank you, sir.
Other than our next commission meeting, we will need to go into executive session when y'all finish discussing the next meeting. And, we can.
We're gonna meet at the Casa State Park, business session at 10 o'clock on Thursday, April the 13th, correct? All right. And you say it is reason to go in executive
Yes,
session?
sir, we have, personnel matters and land acquisition matters to discuss.
I need a motion to discuss the need to go into executive session. I need a second.
I'll move.
All right, motion is carried. All right, the commission has voted to make the determination of whether or not there is a need to go into executive session. So let's go ahead and clear the room, and we will make that determination and make the announcement thereafter.
All right.